Don't miss any of the action at Oceanside, Chula Vista, Torrey Pines, and many more San Diego schools. Download the free UT Preps app on Google Play or the Apple App Store.
Welcome back to Canyonside Baseball and Softball Academy. It's the San Diego Prep Insider Baseball Podcast. We got Tommy, David, and Christian here, ready to bring you our top 10, our game balls, our fair and foul, and a nice little interview with Joshua Sidney, pitcher from Torrey Pines, who is having an outstanding season this year.
Love talking to pitchers.
So without further ado, here is our top 10. David, you want to give yours first?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to keep LCC at number 1 again for the third week. Eastlake, number 2. RB, number 3. Granite Hills, number 4. Vista 5. Cathedral 6. Santana moving up a spot for me to number 7. Grossmont also moving up to number 8. Helix 9 and Madison 10. First time in there for me since the beginning of the year. So they've been playing good ball lately.
Madison really coming on strong at kind of a slow start, but they've really picked it up recently, which is why I'm glad you threw them in there. I do not have them in there. Here's my top 10 in reverse order. Number 10, I have Helix, 9 Torrey Pines, 8 Grossmont, 7 Granite Hills, 6 Cathedral, 5 Santana, 4 Rancho Bernardo, 3 Vista, 2 LCC, and still at number 1, we've got Eastlake, as far as I'm concerned. Christian, what do you think about those?
Santana moving up a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
It's the top 5 seems kind of starting to lock in, but those back 5, still a revolving door, still a lot of undetermined seeding, still a lot of intrigue to go these last 2 weeks of the season.
And we'll talk a little bit more about Santana when we get to our fair or foul. It's going to be a good one today. But before we do that, Christian,
let's get out some game balls.
Yeah,
let's get out some
go.
game balls. I'm going to start with Emilio Luna from Castle Park. 6 innings, 1 run. Always love a pitcher giving out nice little quality start like that. Carson Green from La Jolla Country Day, 1 run in his start against the Bishops. Kendall Burnett from Francis Parker, he also tossed a gem. A CG shutout against Horizon. Can't go wrong with a CG shutout. It's about as good as they can get without being perfect. Reed Labar from LCC, this one's on the offensive side. He went 2 for 3 with an RBI in their 1-run win over Rancho Buena Vista. And then Omar Vega from Bonita Vista, 2 for 3, pair of RBIs versus Otay Range.
All right. Sophomore-themed game ball week for me. Got Matthew Brinkmeyer, outfielder at Steel Canyon. Fantastic week. He was 2 for 2 against Helix and 3 for 4 against Valhalla. He's playing the outfield, man in center field for them. Nico Ortega, pitcher, catcher, shortstop over at Morris. He's hitting .367, 18 hits this year. It's a great season for him. Connor O'Brien, catcher at RB. He went 2 for 3 against Mount Carmel last week. He's got 23 hits in 24 games. That's really good for a sophomore. James Shimashita, sophomore over at Madison. 6 for 15 in a 6-game span. I'm really digging his swing. He's a big lefty. First baseman, Joey McGreasy, pitcher over at RB. He's 8-1, 56 strikeouts, and a 1.29 ERA. He was the freshman of the year last year in all of California, so having another really good year. And my last game ball goes to Hector Amador at Montgomery, catcher, outfielder, hitting .486 with a .561 on-base percentage in 17 games played.
So college coaches, write that down. Class of 2018 looking very strong. All those names.
It's amazing you can do a whole week of sophomore game balls.
Totally.
That's a lot of talent right there.
Right, once you get to the freshman, the week of freshman, that's when it gets real scary. Anyway, going to our fair or foul now. First one, we talked about Santana a little bit earlier. Not Santana, to East County in general. Guys, first fair or foul. Christian, we'll start with you. The Grossmont Hills League, which is composed of Granite Hills, Helix, Grossmont, El Cap, Steel Canyon, and Valhalla, is the best league in San Diego, top to bottom. What do you think?
I'm going to say foul on this one. They are a league that contains some of the best teams, but if we're talking about overall best league, top to bottom competition, it's got to be the Palomar North County League. We're talking about Poway, Torrey Pines, Westview, Canyon Crest, Mount Carmel, RB. These are a lot of teams that have a lot of talent that we've featured on our show, of course, shameless plug. But not only that, if you look at what's going on in that league, non-league wise, they're cleaning up against everybody. And in league, they're beating each other. We got Westview beating Torrey Pines, Mount Carmel holding close with people at the top, and they're the bottom team in that league. So when I'm judging a best league, I'm looking at a league that maybe doesn't have a marquee team that, they're running away with it, but wow, this is a league that everybody can beat everybody within it and outside of it. So I'm going to go Palomar North County.
Yeah, I had the same answer. When I look at that league, though, the main thing for me to go on what Christian's saying is the pitching. You look at every team. RB has got dominant pitching. Torrey Pines, you see Josh Sidney, dominant pitching. This is what's really getting those guys the wins outside of league, where they have the high record, and inside league. So, when I look at the league, I'm definitely going to say the Palomar League is the best league as far as, the pitching. And you look at Poway starting to play really good ball. They're probably tied for top 10 when you look at my list with most of those teams in there. So, yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that one.
Very cool. And I kind of buried the lead on this earlier for this next fair or foul. I'm sorry, guys, ruined the surprise. Our next fair or foul, Christian, we'll start with you. Patrick Henry leading the Eastern League over Cathedral, Scripps, Mira Mesa, and Saints is the biggest surprise so far this season. What do you have to say about that?
I'm going to say foul, and I'm going to bring it all the way back around to Santana. We've talked about their pitching. We haven't talked specifically about Dalton Berry a whole lot, but to me, when you're talking biggest surprise, offense, defense, what is a bigger surprise? To have a pitcher who is throwing a sub-1 ERA, a lot of dominant wins, to be on a 19-2 team is really surprising when you're saying, whoa, what's the biggest surprise in the whole county? The offense for Patrick Henry has been there. They've been entertaining. They've been great. But they're kind of hanging on by a thread. There's still that sense of this could go south at any moment once Cathedral makes a click or something like that. Santana, we're starting to say, this could be a top 5 team in the county. This could be a team that shuts everyone down in the playoffs. So that's what I'm saying. They came not out of nowhere, but they kind of came out of the shadows to be a top 5 team. They're a bigger surprise for me.
Dave, what do you think?
I'm going to go fair. Very impressive where Patrick Henry is at this year. Leading that league. Trevin Esquera dominating with that 500 average. I mean, you look at a guy like that who's probably leading most of the offensive stats on the team. A guy like that can carry a team throughout the playoffs with his bat only, and so if they've got a couple good pitchers to keep them going, I'm thinking they have a really good chance to win league. It is a very tight race. They're only a couple games up in that race, so we'll see how it ends up. But I'm thinking that they are a very big surprise in that league this year, and as far as all the leagues are going.
Yeah, and I'll say this about Trevin: it's one thing to put up those numbers in a league not as high caliber as that one, but I mean, he's faced some of the best pitchers in San Diego, and he's still putting up those stats.
Absolutely, and it's one of those things that come the end of the season, when we kind of sort out which team really is the biggest surprise, we're going to look at one of the 2 superstar players. Is it going to be the pitching of Dalton Berry, or is it going to be the hitting of Esquera that gets one of those 2 teams to be the biggest surprise? And that's a lot of fun, to single out a superstar and say, wow, look at this kid is raising this program up. It's a lot of fun to watch.
So we got done talking about that superstar. Let's bring in another one from Torrey Pines. It's Joshua Sidney. Joshua, thanks for being here. First question I got for you. Your head coach, manager, is Kurt McCaskill, who is a former major league pitcher. You're a pitcher, so what's it like playing for him?
I mean, he teaches us a lot of good tips and hitter tendencies. Throughout the season, we've had some good players we go up against, and he's pointed out quite a few things that he's seen throughout his years, which have been really helpful. So I mean, he's tough, but he's got some good key points to pick up on.
All right, Josh, who was your favorite baseball player growing up?
Well, my favorite baseball player is probably Brandon Crawford. I always appreciate an athletic shortstop when I'm pitching. Shout out to Jake Boone, great defensive player, and also just nice lefty stroke, so fun to watch.
Josh, you're in the midst of having such a great season. What's the projection? Where can you take it from here? What kind of goals are you setting for yourself in the next 5 years? What do you see as your upper limits?
Well, I mean, I just like to focus on this year and trying to win CIF. It doesn't really matter if where we place, we place. I don't really look at the standings or rankings. If we're in D1, I just want to win D1. If we win Open, I just want to be competitive and beat some teams. It'd be pretty fun. Like we did last year. We had that game against Cathedral was epic, and it was just it was such a good time because they're our local rivals. Got to beat them in the semis, so just good experience either way. And then obviously when I go into college, hopefully get some playing time early and and it'd just be a good experience.
Thank you so much, Josh. We're excited to see how the rest of your season turns out and in the playoffs. Good luck the rest of the way, guys. That's pretty much all the time we have here for our podcast. Thank you all for watching. Remember, tweet at us at SC Prep Insider or at all of our individual accounts because we check those as well. Guys, anything to add before you get out of here?
Oh, fun rest of this year. Fun rest of the year.
Finish hard with league.
Yes, sir.
Playoffs are coming, boys.
All right.
Playoffs.
Best time of the year. Playoffs are coming. We will see you next week to talk more about those playoffs.